Welcome back, True Seeker. Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. Of course, earlier today, the election was called for Donald Trump. And also earlier today, Kamala Harris conceded at Howard University, where she once went to school and was a member of the AKA sorority. And I'm going to show you how ritualistic her concession was there. Again, reminding you that these are selections, they are not elections. Nobody's votes count. MSNBC had a nice little shot last night showing a warehouse where supposedly they were storing the ballots in these black containers that look like your waste management garbage can. Again, this stuff is a mockery. Everyone should know this. It shouldn't be an argument. If you think your vote matters, you're definitely not paying attention to what's going on in this nation and the ritualism with every election. I mean, it's just that simple. And this will be the third election in a row where we called it long in advance. And yeah, if you go back to 2016, I did change my opinion at the end. So you could say I ended up being wrong, but I had it dead on before everybody else did why it was going to be Trump in 2016 before he was even the GOP nominee. We were pretty much the only people who told you it was going to be Biden as number 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday in 2020, in tribute to JFK, who got smoked at 46. And I've been telling you since 2021, shortly after Biden and Kamala took office, that Donald Trump was coming back as the next Grover Cleveland, meaning a split term president. So we're going to recap some of these things, but I want to start right here with, I almost called her Hillary, Kamala's concession. Notice Trump, the proud pussy grabber, can only beat women. That's also part of the sick joke here. And remember, DC's the Masonic city. The Masons study the 47th problem of Euclid. And to date, all men, just like Freemasonry is for men only. Yeah, there is an offshoot to Freemasonry called the Order of the Eastern Star for women, but they don't call DC the Order of the Eastern Star City. They call it the Masonic City. Anyhow, we've been talking about it for a long time. When the election was called for Trump in 2016, it was called while he was on 248 electoral votes. This time it was called for him while he was on 277 electoral votes, like how Grover Cleveland became the first split term president, winning with 277 electoral votes. But about the 248, right now the country and the Illuminati are 248 years old. And look what they did. They had Kamala last night at Howard, and she decided not to speak. But notice, from Howard's establishment anniversary, March 2nd, to the date of the selection was 248 days. Just like how in Gematria, President Donald Trump equals 248. And again, 2016, here's the screenshot up there. The chump schmuck face expression, same one he always has, as he gets up there and bullshits everybody. But the race was called while he was on 248 electoral votes, and the 218's no accident either. That's the number of the Holy Roman Empire, what runs this nation, thus all the Roman architecture in DC. But yes, it was 248 days after Howard's establishment was the election. And remember what we were pointing out last night when it happened? It was announced that Trump was not going to address supporters while Trump was on 248 electoral votes, and it looked like the race was all but his. So at the time that he was at 248, the announcement goes out that she's not going to speak at Howard 248 days after the university's establishment anniversary. I mean, they couldn't have scripted it any better. And again, just Kamala being on 216, just total joke. That's the Cleveland area code where Trump had his convention in 2016. Remember, the Cavs won the finals there, and then he had his convention in the last game in Cleveland. There were 216 points scored. That was game 6. Before LeBron won it on the real King James's birthday, the same King James who died at age 58 before Trump won the 58th election after announcing from the 58-story Trump Tower. Again, Freemasonry equals 58 in Gematria, and the first degree is the honored apprentice. Hello. So, with regards to Howard University, notice how it equates to 201. We've talked about this many a times with Howard. This isn't the first time we've discussed Howard, but of course it equates to 201, like the Jesuit order, like Order of Illuminati. And again, the Order of Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, who died in history 201 days after the anniversary of the order's establishment. And Inauguration Day is on the 201st day of the nation's age. And it's why Trump sacrificed his wife 60 weeks into the first Jesuit Ignatian year and then buried her on the 201st day of the year. And it goes with Beau Biden dying at 46, 201 days before the Pope's birthday, before the same Jesuit priest did his funeral, and then Joe Biden's inauguration as number 46, again on the 201st day of the nation's age. Again, Inauguration Day is the 20th day of the first month, 20/1, which looks like 201, but it's also the 201st day of the nation's age. And again, just fitting ritual right here. Don't forget Limestone Road equals 201. That's where Joe Biden's wife and daughter died back in 72, right after he became senator-elect. But they even had to tell us last night that Trump was on 201 votes at one point while Kamala was on 91. Make America Great Again equals 91. We know what they did to Quincy Jones the day before the selection. The news broke on Sean Combs' birthday, another producer who has the 91 connection, who also went to Howard. Remember, Kamala was the 49th VP. Bad boy equals 49. He got arrested 49 days before his birthday. Mr. Vote or Die, Mr. Rock the Vote. Another guy begging you to participate in the rigged selections, to put your energy in it, to become invested in the scam. So their illegitimate elections can look legitimate because they can say, well, look at all the people that came out and voted. And didn't you see the coverage on MSNBC last night? We showed you the warehouse in Chicago where we were storing all the ballots. Looked like a room full of garbage cans. Didn't you see it? If you don't know the history of the Illuminati, it was renamed Order of Illuminati by Adam Weishaupt, the Jesuit. But before he called it Order of Illuminati, he actually called it the Bavarian Illuminati because it was founded in the Jesuit stronghold of Germany, Bavaria. But again, Bavarian Illuminati equals 188. And just for the record, this ritual was 188 days after the Illuminati's birthday as well. And George Washington penned those letters back in the 1790s about his concern about the Illuminati infiltrating Freemasonry. Donald Trump did the Freemasonry joke in the last election. But also, Kamala graduated from Howard in 86, so that was 38 years ago. And now she's the brunt of the election joke for the federal city on the 38th parallel. And I mean, doesn't Kamala just kind of remind you of the word Kabbalah? I mean, it's similar, isn't it? Kamala. I know she pronounces it Kamala, but don't forget the wrestler Kamala was all synced up with this. He died 2 days before Kamala was made the VP nominee. But Kabbalah, similar. Kamala. That's where this practice of coding numbers into words comes from. That's where the root word of the cabal is. The secret, powerful political organization, what the cabal means. And this is how they operate in Kabbalah, where it says God created the world with letters, numbers, and words in the Kabbalistic text, the Book of Formation. But yes, DC's on the 38th parallel. Elections 38, so is energy, so is gematria. I don't know why I didn't put English up there. English is 38. There's a lot more to it. It's a special number. Pentagon equals 38 to make a point. Talk about numerology. 5-sided building. 5-acre court in the middle, 5 floors above ground, right next to the 555-foot Washington Monument. Well, in close proximity. But notice also that her sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, was established in 1908. That means it turned 116 years old this year. And she waited to concede until November 6th. 116. Remember, just like the Dodgers won the 116th World Series in tribute to Jackie Robinson after Mookie Betts came over in the 42 ritual, but African American won 16. Barack Hussein Obama won 16. So she waited to concede until November 6th, the next day, while the fraternity that she's a part of, or the sorority, is 116 years old. Secret societies. January 15th was the date of the Iowa caucus this year, where Trump got 56% of the vote, and then he ends up winning the rigged selection on the day, leaving 56 days left in the year, when, of course, Washington, D.C. equals 56, like Society of Jesus, like Freemasons, etc., etc. Notice, though, from January 15th to the election was 42 weeks. 42 weeks. King Kamala equals 42, like slavery, like Tuskegee, like Jackie, like Cosby Show, like Huxtable, like Malcolm X, like Martin, like the N-word, like February, and the list goes on. You know the rest of the list. Her mom died on the 42nd day of the year, February 11th, 2009, right after Obama took office. Joe Biden passed the torch 42 months and a day after they took office. The wrestler Kamala died 42 weeks after her birthday on the nose, 2 days before she was made the VP nominee by Biden, who also went to the White House with Obama, who passed the 94 crime bill that put a lot of dark complected people in prison wrongfully, and then also had the nerve later in his life to say, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. It's like, why? Because you had the token guy with you in the White House who didn't do shit either. Your legacy is you put a bunch of dark people in prison. Anyway, here, in case you're not up to speed on the Umega Kamala wrestling match, where they're now both dead, right after Trump's 60th birthday, the match took place 18 years ago. And again, this was the 60th U.S. presidential election, but just to remind you, that match was 116 days before Kamala's 42nd birthday. And then the election gets called all these years later on November 6th, while her sorority is 116 years old, reminding you of secret societies behind all this. The federal city is literally named after the most infamous secret society, the Masonic City. Pope Francis, the 266th Pope, the first Jesuit who spoke in D.C., the Jesuit Masonic City, on the 266th day of the year in 2015 on September 23rd. And this fight was on 26/6. Remember last night, for a long period of time, Trump was just stuck on 266 electoral votes. Remember the Jesuit motto, is Sus Hominum Salvator, equals 266. And in their logo, it's abbreviated IHS, which equals 18. This fight was 18 years ago, to remind you who runs it. It ain't 3-6 Mafia. And again, this election was 42 days before the Pope's birthday. Split term equals 42. But here, coming back. We've covered that one enough in recent days. Notice that Howard University is named after Oliver Otis Howard. And isn't it interesting that he died at age 78 in light of Trump winning the rigged selection at age 78, when the top cards in the tarot deck are Trump cards? And there's 78 cards in the tarot deck. Again, we've been talking about all this stuff for years. For years, we talk about the same things over and over. But you see, there's even more layers to it. Even having the concession be at a university named after a man who died at 78. Don't forget, Butler equals 78 and the ritual they did there with his little ear. And let's not forget the whole January 6th. Again, that was a massive 201 ritual, but it was also 78 days after Kamala's birthday. And we told you back in 2021 why Biden would pass the torch to Kamala when he was 81 and she was 59, like his 81 million votes in the 59th election. And we're talking about how it'd be Trump versus Kamala way back then in this one, in this rigged selection. But the insurrection was 78 days after after Kamala's birthday. October 20th, her birthday, leaves 72 days left in the year. January 6th is obviously 6 days later, 78. Insurrection equals 78, as does Scottish Rite. They got their House of the Temple, their Masonic headquarters in D.C. And again, all the rites of the Scottish Rite were written by Jesuit priests. Jesuit equals 78. I'm Dark Mega equals 78. Tesla equals 78. Puppet Elon Musk, puppet Donald Trump, they're all puppets. That's why Elon Musk was declared the world's richest man for the first time ever on the 78th death anniversary of Nikola Tesla, January 7th, 2021. Now, Frederick Douglass, you know that's not his birth name, right? And I've always thought it was so funny how he had this double S. And we've actually covered what's encoded in his name with the double S before, because do you know any other Douglasses with a SS? Frederick Douglass equals slavery, equals the N-word, and a whole bunch of other crap. It's 102, like the American Civil War began on the 102nd day of the year. But notice, Frederick Douglass also equates to 78. Remember, there's base ciphers to the English language if you're new here. Let me just show you how this works. Again, the 4 base ciphers, the alphabetic order, forwards and backwards with numerology. It's 177 like the Jesuit order, 78 like Jesuit and Scottish Rite, and then 102, again, like slavery, like the N-word, like the American Civil War beginning on the 102nd day of the year, April 12th, 1861, like the feds recognizing Black History Month on February 10th or 10/2 in the year 76 when slave is 76, and so is Barack Obama. And that's why he began his pledge or his campaign to run for president literally on the anniversary of the feds recognizing Black History Month in 76. And it was the 31st anniversary where Obama's also 31 and so is slave, and 31's the 11th prime and Black's 11. And again, it's all ritualism. So Frederick Douglass, just another 78. She's in front of Frederick Douglass Memorial Hall, telling people it's going to be okay. You know, just a week ago with the fake campaigns and all the theatrics, you know, Donald Trump's a Nazi and he can't win and it'll be the destruction of America. But now it's, you know what, you guys, I lost. Everything's chill. It's cool. It's kosher. I'm going back with my little hubby here who impregnated the nurse, who teaches at Jesuit Georgetown, who just did a nice little Jesuit tribute to Georgetown at the DNC, where I spoke on the death anniversary of Huey P. Newton, who died at 47, and nobody even blinked an eye because they didn't realize that my father was friends with him, Donald J. Harris. But yeah, if you guys don't know, her husband spoke 54 days before his birthday. Jesuit orders 54, just like John Carroll, who was the 54-year-old who established Jesuit Georgetown. But anyway, and don't forget, speaking of Hitler, he was a Jesuit as well, modeled the SS after the Nazis. His birth certificate is Adolphus Hitler, which equals 201. But yeah, Frederick Douglass, born on the 45th day of the year. Funny place to concede, right? In front of a building named after a man born on the 45th day as she loses to the 45th president. And then 220. How many times have we talked about 220 with the Donald? Donald John Trump's got that 220, and Inauguration Day is his 220th day of his age. And him and Robert Kennedy even teamed up on the 220th day of Robert Kennedy's age. So here we go again. But yeah, these people are very clever, what they do. They're very clever. They got it all thought out. The mockery never ends. The numerical rituals never end. And what the annoying thing is, they all come at me and they're like, why are you so into the numbers? I'm not really. I'm into exposing what they're doing. Again, I didn't create Freemasonry and start etching on temples all as number. That wasn't me. That's what they did. It wasn't me when I was 18 that took down the towers and declared a national emergency on 911. I was the person, though, who said, that's weird. Perfect demolition of 2 towers on 911? Seems a little weird. And I looked into it and I said, whoa, that's weird. I was asking everybody at the time, it didn't take me that long to figure out. I said, do you guys know that 911 was made the National Emergency Dialing Code the same year World Trade Center construction began and George W. Bush graduated from Yale? Don't you think that's weird? And he was in Skull and Bones, that powerful secret society. And they just come out with that movie just before the towers came down with Paul Walker about Skull and Bones. And then years later, he's dying in a red Porsche, like he gets a red Porsche in the film. And that film came out 201 days after his birthday. Isn't it weird? And then 5 years later to the day, George Herbert Walker Bush dies on the same day Paul Walker did, November 30th, 11 plus 30, 41, like Skull and Bones is 41, like Papa Bush was number 41. Anyway, that's why I don't vote in rigged selections, because, yeah, I got the same dopes who come at me with like, why do you care so much about the... Like, wait, why don't you care what I'm showing you right now? You don't see what these weirdos are doing to us every day? You want to participate in this rig shit? No, if we all had a backbone, we'd all never vote in another one of these rigged things, and we'd all drop out of these universities that are part of the scam too, that serve these bankers, getting us all in debt, making us go to all these bullshit classes we don't need, giving us these degrees that we mostly don't need. I mean, seriously, some degrees at some universities are justified, but almost all of them are bullshit. And I'd even start to look at a lot of the medical world. I mean, there's a lot of dopes that work in the medical industry, and the only reason they became doctors is because they had the money to go to school and their parents could help them get there. But then they just get totally indoctrinated after these books paid for by big business. And then look at them. They don't know anything about nutrition. All they know how to do is give you pills. They don't know shit about shit. They want to run all these tests, and then they got no clue about the results, but they just racked up a whole bunch of money. This whole nation's all about money. It's all one big money scam. All the truth gets buried. And I did catch the end of Kamala's speech, and I saw she closed out by talking about the truth. And I just thought, God, it's sick. It is sick. These people are sick. She knows that there's no truth to what they're doing. She's not the only one. They get all these psychopaths up on the stage like this schmuck. But yeah, don't forget when they called it in 2016 for Trump, 88% of the vote was in. Again, he was leading 248 to 218. He supposedly had 48. Hillary had 47%. Trump 88 and 47. Now he's the next Grover Cleveland when their birthdays are 88 days apart, as we'll cover in a second. But we just talked about the massive rituals with sports connected to Cleveland the night before the rigged selection. And that confirmed what I've been saying for the last 3 years. I did start to teeter on what I'd been saying for years about Trump coming back as Grover Cleveland because of the rituals they were doing Kamala. I was like, God, they're making it seem like Kamala actually has a chance. But then the night before we saw what they did with the sports, we said, oh, never mind. This is in the bag for Trump. Lock City. And it was. But yeah, it's this big of a Trump joke, you guys. It was called while Trump was 248 to 218 versus Hillary. Remember, the Holy Roman Empire supposedly conceded on the 218th day of the year, August 6th, 1806. Now it's 218 years later, and now we got Trump back in there while the country and the Illuminati is 248 years old. The election 248 days after Howard's establishment anniversary. It's just like, that's why he always has that shit-eating grin on his face. Because he's got all this in his brain. He's like, how don't these schmucks see through the biggest schmuck on the stage, which is me? Get Mike Pence looking at him. I can't believe this shit. Don't forget, Mike Pence equals 45 forwards and backwards. Mike Pence, the VP to number 45. Mike Pence, 81, like President Trump. Kamala Harris, the 49th VP. James Harris, the wrestler Kamala, dead for Kamala. That's how they do it. But yeah, again, just to recap all the Grover Cleveland stuff today, they're talking about in the news to America, who they know doesn't know anything about anything. They're like, did you know that there was a split-term president before? Yeah, this hadn't happened in a long time. This kind of coverage today. The View type of coverage. God, I just had to see what they're going to say on The View this morning, and it was just it's just like, they started like, well, the one thing we know is our elections are definitely legitimate. Oh my God. It's amazing that people watch this shit and believe it. Yeah. Oh yeah, our elections are just so legitimate. Look at the candidates we got to choose from in 2024. What could have been more legit than the orange goon versus the cocksucker? Don't forget, she started working on Willie's Willie when he was 60, and she was in her 20s. And now for the 60th election, we get her at age 60. Did you see the frown on Tim Walz? Talk about the perfect actor. I've never been able to do a frown with my face. I don't know how to, I can smile, but I can't make my face go this way. That guy had like a rainbow grin with his big, fat, chubby cheeks. The supposed football coach who says his favorite play is to run the pick six. It's like, damn, why doesn't every defensive coordinator just run the pick six every time? They'd score a shit ton of points. I'm pretty sure that guy never taught and was never a football coach. And that's how fake everything is, that they can just cram a story through the headlines and everyone will believe it. Because when you're out there saying that your favorite play to call is the pick six, that doesn't exist. A pick six is when an interception's made and it's ran for a touchdown. God, but his face today, how he just held that frown, it looked like a rainbow of wrinkles. I was like, is this what they chose this guy for this moment? God. If you didn't see Tim Walz's face, and we do appreciate the rig selections. Remember how they got J.D. Vance in Wisconsin, the youngest VP nominee since Teddy Roosevelt, who was shot in Milwaukee, and that was right after the Trump hoax. But JD's 40, JD Vance 40, Tim Walz 40. We loved the game this year in the NFL between Minnesota and the Packers. Again, Packers are in Wisconsin where JD Vance made the nominee. It was so obvious Minnesota was becoming 4-0 because, again, it's all rigged and scripted together. Covered a whole lot of things with the selection, including the Monday Night Football game. Talk about obvious. Donald Trump 138 and 48 Monday Night Football before this election. Patrick Mahomes from White House, Texas, in the 138th game of the NFL season, 48 days after his birthday. His mom endorses Trump minutes before kickoff. The game goes to overtime, 48-48. And our man for the lock of the night for the touchdown, Kareem Hunt, picked up the 62nd career touchdown, where Tampa Bay Buccaneers is 62, and so is Buccaneers. And then, of course, Rachaad White from Kansas City scored the first touchdown. And Mr. Hopkins got his 81st career touchdown when President Trump said he won. And what's the square root of that number? Oh, yeah, it's 9, like week 9, like 45 is the 9th triangular number. And again, it's all scripted. Sports and politics, big tributes to Trump all week in the National Fixed League. But anyway, coming back to this Grover Cleveland thing, his birthday's March 18th. The Chumps is June 14th, which is the flag's birthday. Their birthdays are 88 days apart. In the 4 base ciphers of the English language, notice how Trump is 88 with the alphabetic order, 47 with the reverse. He's done a gazillion 47 rituals. Even his social media company, Truth Social's 47. But with numerology applied, 25, like how he's going to retake office in 2025, the year of the snake, when he keeps reading his snake poem and you knew what I was, but you let me in. Yeah. I didn't let you in, asshole. All the dummies that voted for you are too stupid to get it, but I get it. That's why he didn't, Trump it never came out of his mouth that he appreciates intelligent people. He said what did he say back in like 2015, 2016? That he appreciates I forget how he said it. He was essentially talking about dumb people. He's like, I appreciate the dopes. I appreciate the morons. It's my whole voting base. It is the whole voting base for both parties. Not to discriminate. But just for the record, again, just going down memory lane, the White House was designed by James Hoban, whose name equals 88, like George Washington, like the Republican Party, like Masonic ritual, like Holy Roman Empire. Grover Cleveland got reelected in 1892. That was 132 years ago. Split term equals 132, like United States of America. Again, it was named on September 9th, 1776, 132 days from the Illuminati being established on May 1st. There's 132 rooms in the White House. For the record, Catholic Church and Roman Catholic are 132. England's also 132. There's more to that number, but again, these are the key ones here for the second split term president 132 years later, because it is this scripted. And once again, Cleveland equals 78, which is Trump's age right now. Like Scottish Rite equals 78, like Jesuit equals 78. Again, Jesuit priest wrote the rites of the Scottish Rite. DC's the Jesuit Masonic city. Grover Cleveland died on Freemasonry's birthday. I mean, hello. Again, Cleveland also has the gematria of 48 in the base ciphers, like Donald Trump, like Freemason, like Illuminati. And remember, the night before this election, the Cleveland Cavaliers, back where Trump had in 2016, he had his convention in their stadium. They had got their best start in 48 years. Cleveland 48. They did it over the Milwaukee Bucks, which also equals 48. Milwaukee's where the GOP convention was. Hello. Donald Trump's 48. I forgot to put the Milwaukee Bucks screenshot up here, but it's the same cipher as Donald Trump, the alphabetic order with numerology. Grover Cleveland equals 80. The Cavs got to 8-0 versus the Bucks. Is on Monday Night Football. It was also versus the Bucks. Bucks got horns like Satan. Mega's the highest degree of the Church of Satan. I don't want to be super redundant. I've talked about all these things a million times, but yes, in the football game, 48 points going to overtime, 24-24 for the 24th election, 138th game of the season. Again, 48 days after Mahomes' birthday, who's from White House, Texas, who's got the same birthday as the NFL, which is also the same birthday as the Constitution. Don't forget, the Constitution was born 133 years to the day of the NFL being born. Football equals 133, like government, like White House, like president, like how in 2015, Forbes said Trump was the 133rd richest man in the nation. The first time he set foot on stage in the first GOP debate to narrow down the field of candidates. We told you that day in 2015 what 133 was about and why it foreshadowed that Trump would be the president. Everyone else thought it was a total joke at that point, and we're saying, it looks like they could put this guy in there. And I understood back then that every election has to be some new gimmick And I thought, well, here, I mean, they haven't really done a game show contestant yet. They've done actors like Ronald Reagan, who also ran on Mega, but game show contestant, that's a little bit different. And I was like, yeah, people did start to see him as an authority figure because of The Apprentice. And then as day by day went on, we just put it together more and more, like we always do. But notice even how Mahomes' hometown, White House, Texas, goes with the 60th election, because it is this scripted. His whole career scripted, just like Brady's, like the rest of the National Fixed League. Again, Mahomes became 97-25. 97 is the 25th prime, beating Tampa Bay 25. He also got his 25th win in primetime. When Trump became president, it was the end of the NFL season that was the 97th season, where they moved the touchback to 25 yards, which ended with Brady coming back from 25 down on 2-5 against the Falcons, which equal 25, who play in the same division as the Bucs, the one that's down around Mar-a-Lago. But yeah, both teams become 8-0 in these rituals. Grover Cleveland 80, like Satan, like Baphomet. Again, Mega's the highest degree of the Church of Satan. They waited to call the election for Trump until November 6th, the day leaving 55 days left in the year. So again, Satan is Saturn to the occult. Saturn's 93, like Monday Night Football. Mahomes became 9-3 in the game 93 days after Brady's birthday. He beat Mahomes in Super Bowl 55, where he got his 7th ring, like Saturn has 7 rings. And then the Weeknd did the halftime show and came out of the rafters with glowing red eyes like a fallen angel, which is how Satan's described. Hello. But yeah, Illuminati, Bavarian Illuminati, thus the 4880 ritual. Order of Illuminati 93, thus the 93 part. I mean, you just can't make this shit up. And like I've been saying, you guys, for all of you guys who really wanted to see Kamala become president, there's still a pretty good shot that she does when Joe Biden doesn't finish his term. Again, Gerald Ford told us October 18th, 1989, someday there'll be an old man who will die in office, and that's how we'll get the first woman. He specifically said that day that she will not be voted in. It will happen this way. And the reason to think it is Kamala is because he said it in the Herbert Hoover Library. Kamala was born the same day Herbert Hoover died, October 20th, 1964. So just with how redundant they are with 201, I mean, would anybody be shocked if we get a headline that Joe Biden didn't make it on November 27th? He has all the parallels to JFK, and it would only be 5 days from the JFK death anniversary. It could be part of the mockery. He'd die in Sagittarius, which equals 144, like Jesuit order, like President Biden, where Jesuit Georgetown simulated that he would win in 2020, 144 days before the election on June 12th. But notice, from the day they took office to that day is 201 weeks on the nose, and it's the day leaving 34 days left in the year, like Biden equals 34. He'd been biding his time. But how much longer can he bide his time for? The 201's a calling. And I'll remind you, William Henry Harrison was president for 1 month. The other Harrison, who was his family member, was the president between the Grover Cleveland terms. So Harris is not that different from Harrison. If this happened, November 27th is Kamala's born on the 20th, right? October 20th. So this would be 38 days after Kamala's birthday, wouldn't it? October 20th to November 27th is 38 days. Death, murder, killing, RIP, they all equal 38. Gerald Ford was the 38th president. Isn't that right? Wasn't Gerald Ford number 38? You guys know another Ford, but Gerald Ford wasn't 38th president. So, I mean, could they do that? October 20th, let me make sure my math's right. That'd be 11 days to Halloween, 27 more, 11 plus 27, that's 38. DC on the 38th parallel. Death, murder, killing, RIP, all equal 38. Election equals 38. Murder is the sport of the elected, is the lyrics to the song Murder by Numbers by the Police. If that happened, Kamala would be president for 54 days. Like Jesuit orders 54, like Bo equals 54. And again, Kamala says that's how she met Joe Biden, was through Bo Biden, because they're both lawyers. Bo was the sacrifice for Joe. So could it happen? Could it happen? We will see. We will see. All of my predictions over the years haven't been good enough to change the world yet. So we got to do better. We got to do better, and maybe if that happens, it'll be enough. Maybe then the deniers will stop denying. And the problem with the deniers is they're always looking for a reason not to deny. So if it doesn't happen that day, if it happened the very next day, they'd be like, well, he said November 27th, but it happened on the 28th. For the record, 11/28, that's the 47th triangular number. But yeah, 38 days later would fit. It would fit a lot, especially since Gerald Ford was the 38th president. And just for the record, you guys, just with that whole Ford thing, you see how Henry Ford's 59? He's connected to Motown. Motown Records came out in 59. Super Bowl 59 is going to be on what would be the 59,000th day of his age. They got the white rapper up there who was crying last year when his team came up just short. I'm just saying. Him and Mahomes combined for 105 points back in 2018, NFL record. This is the 105th season. Mahomes' birthday is the day leaving 105 days left in the year. You remember what the Lions were originally called? Their original name? Portsmouth. They were Portsmouth. Portsmouth 105. They were actually the Portsmouth Spartans, also 105. I'm just saying. So, rig selections, rig sports, learn the numbers, call the futures, do it for over 11 years. I don't know why there's not a million people watching, because that's what we've been doing. And there should be way more appreciation for this work. But thank you to the people who do support. Shout out to Chris, who's made a lot of money off the knowledge. Generous guy is Chris. Chris, you saved that money. You've tipped enough. He said, I hit on an 11-game parlay this past week, turning 20 into 1,200. Thank you for the knowledge and strong work ethic. Your resume continues to grow. Congrats to the winners and to you on your baby being born. Thank you, Chris. Chris has pounded pavement with us from Oklahoma City, where we got out the word about the 201s. What really went down April 19th, 95 was CIA asset, Mr. 201 Timothy McVeigh. On Ignatius Loyola Day, another 201, the founder of the Jesuits. Chris has been all over the nation with us, educating about the 201s on 9/11 in New York City. He was there. 2 towers became 0 before they became 1, and most of them don't have a clue. If this is the Tim Truth who I owe dinner to, is this the Tim Truth I owe dinner to? If it is, you got my number. Hit me up. The reason if it's him, he met me in Portland, and I was actually going to buy his dinner. And then I realized I didn't have my shit with me because I didn't bring my wallet with me. He met me I had my megaphone and my phone and my camera, and I didn't bring my wallet out there with me. And I was like, hey, I'll get us dinner. And then I got to the restaurant. I was like, oh shit, man, I've never done this to anybody, but I didn't have my wallet and I felt bad. So I owe Tim Truth dinner if that's the same Tim. I think it is. Thank you, Tim. I owe you, friend. Today is a span of 201 days from Hitler's birthday. Isn't that something? Old Adolphus Hitler, the Jesuit, another 201. Paula the Kitchen Witch, always with the generosity, says there was an elephant with the name Kamala euthanized recently in DC. Oh my God, the Republican Party, the elephant. Oh my God, man, I gotta remember that and look that one up. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Nima, thank you again, Nima. Simply the best. I appreciate that. I wish more people felt that way. And King Richard TV with another one. Also a poll worker, Nicholas Wimbish, arrested for making bomb threats. He reportedly worked 88 miles southeast of Atlanta. Yeah, of course he didn't. His name equals 88. Isn't it just stupid? And now they're going to throw out all the fake trials that they had with Trump. Again, you guys, look at this. You see how the word indictment's 60? You see how Alvin Bragg is 60? You see how, actually, you see Alvin Bragg and indictment are both 48 and 60, just like Donald Trump. I mean, we've been calling this stuff out all year. All of this was fake storylines, wasted of taxpayer money by the millions, all for a bullshit storyline to make the nation more divided, more polarized. It's why so many people feel so tortured right now that Trump's the president again. And this is what I've been warning about all year, why they were doing this, to just further that polarization. If you guys want to find my video from February 2016, find the video from February 2016 before Trump was even the GOP nominee, and I laid out why Trump's so perfect, because he's so polarizing, and why they were going to make him the pick. Let me see. Zachary K. Hubbard, Donald Trump, 2016. Let's see if that pulls it up. When I type it up, all that comes up is CNN mainstream news. Why? How? Not what I search for. Here. It's right here. This is the video. It's actually on a channel that survived. This was in the wake of mass deletions where I re-uploaded it. So this is not the original upload date. This was re-uploaded to this channel. But again, this is from February of 2016. Find this video and go. That was the date it was published, February 24, 2016. It was just before Super Tuesday. Go back and listen to what I said. Younger me talking about the polarizing Donald Trump, the perfect Manchurian candidate. And shout out to the guy last night who called in about this. I have to get off because Sweet Lady just texted me. Somebody called in about this last night. I just had to check to make sure it was true. From the day Trump was born to the novel The Manchurian Candidate came out was exactly 4,700 days. And again, now Trump's the 47th president-elect. He's been doing 47 rituals for years. President, White House, government authority, Republican Whig, Democrat, DC, Trump. They're all 47. The CIA, which is a component of that Manchurian candidate story. The CIA is mind controlling people. 47. Again, Trump, Mr. I've done more in 47 months than he's done in 47 years. Trump's Truth Social. His first post in 47 days. Just on it. There's so many of these, you guys. There's so many. And isn't it interesting that Manchurian candidates won 16 and they called the election for him on 11-6. And there was the wrestling match back when he was 60 between Kamala and Umega that was 116 days from her birthday. And now she's conceding at Howard as her sorority is 116 years old. And again, the Manchurian candidate's about a guy who ushers in communism. That is Trump. That might affect. How could that be Trump? Do you remember what happened when Trump was president? The government shut down businesses, said only these ones can stay open, the big ones that are subsidized with taxpayer dollars. And then we started printing money and then inflating the dollar. I mean, how wasn't it communism? He was the guy who was the president when that happened. Hello. So anyway, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you again to all the people who support the work. Appreciate the generosity in this stream. And the show, The Boys Killed a Female President. Interesting. I'll have to look into that too. I haven't seen that one. I do got to hop off though, or Sweet Lady's going to be upset and you don't want to get your prego mama upset. I got to be good to Sweet Lady right now. But hey, the truth has to get out there too. So again, thank you to everyone who likes and shares the work. And there might be a period of time where I'm at the hospital and not here. But if there is any absence, that's what's going on. She's days away. The big day is close. But yeah, I'll probably still try to do short videos here and there through the phone, taking breaks from the labor room. But anyway, we'll leave it there for now. Again, thank you to everyone who does support the work. Ways to support the work are in the description. It's much appreciated. It's much needed if we're ever going to change the world, because this work needs way more resources. We'll leave it there for now. Until next time, Truth Seeker.